Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Jennifer and I am the creator and blogger behind The Generalist, where I share the places, spaces, pretty cool and inspiring things that add vibrancy to my everyday life. So I've been blogging for just over a year now and I am finally launching my YouTube channel. And what better way to do so than with my new monthly segment titled Tip Tuesdays. So for Tip Tuesdays, I will pretty much be sharing everything I know on photography and videography with you guys, including my favorite apps, how I use them, what my workflows look like, and some behind the scenes on how I capture some of my images. So for this video, we are going to be focusing on Lightroom Mobile. I'll be sharing 3 tips on the app, including how you can create and save your own presets. So if you're interested in figuring out how I do that, make sure that you keep watching. So first up, we have photo editing, and of course, if I had to choose one app to encompass all that I do for photo editing, it would definitely have to be Adobe Lightroom. Now, for the purpose of this tutorial, I will be talking about Lightroom CC, but typically I'm actually using Lightroom Classic on my iMac desktop, which allows me to just plug my memory card into my computer and I import all of the photos into my Lightroom catalog, call them, organize them, and start editing. So it's a similar concept here, whether you're taking photos on your phone or just transferring photos on your phone. You simply just open up the Lightroom CC app, which is a free mobile app on the App Store if you're using an iPhone, or a free app on the Google Play Store if you are using an Android phone. Now, I'm just going to go over a few features on Lightroom. This is obviously not a tutorial on Lightroom specifically, so I'm just going to share with you guys some of my favorite features. So first up, we have the in-app camera. So when you open up the application, you just tap on the bottom right camera icon and it opens up the camera in the app. So by default, this is already set to professional, but what I usually do is go in here in the drop down and I choose from the 3, usually choose professional. So this sort of emulates a DSLR. It gives you the ability to manipulate the exposure, the shutter speed, the ISO, white balance, the zoom, so you can use a wide angle lens or a telephoto, and then of course you can lock in all of those settings and take a photo. So once you take that photo, it is automatically saved into your Lightroom library, and if you have an account, it just syncs across all of your devices. So I believe that the free subscription comes with about 2 gigabytes of cloud storage. I am an Adobe Cloud member, Creative Cloud member, so I do have up to 2 terabytes of cloud storage, which seems like a lot, but honestly it is not enough when I am taking photos often, editing videos, and the likes. Okay, so the second reason I love using Adobe Lightroom is because of its ability to organize and cull your photos. So as I mentioned, I usually upload my photos into my catalog on my desktop, and then that syncs across all of my devices. So regardless of whether I'm using my mobile phone, my laptop, or my iMac, I am able to access all of my albums as I have uploaded them. It is so convenient. So for the purpose of this tutorial, again, we are going to be talking about Lightroom CC, and you do have similar features on the mobile application. So once your images have been uploaded, usually by default they're in the All Photos folder, you can go ahead and create albums to complement the photo shoot. So if you were in Ghana, like I was in Ghana in November, all of the photos that I took from Ghana are in this Ghana folder. Depending on the locations, on my outfit, I've created separate folders for that. You can even go as far as creating folders which house separate albums, all within relevancy. So I'll use Paris as an example. I was in Paris last spring, and obviously I was in different locations, had different outfits. So I went ahead and created albums based on the locations or the outfits that I was wearing. And then just organize the photos that I took during those events within these albums. So if we open up Eiffel in red here, I think I will go ahead and reset this for the purpose of this tutorial, and then I'll just go through and sort of just do some light editing as I normally would, and I'll show you guys how to create your own presets within the Lightroom mobile app as well. So here are all of these questions and just interests when it comes to presets. Guys, presets are nothing but previous settings. Like literally, that is all it means. Preset, a presetting. So I can go through this image, edit it from scratch, and if I don't feel like doing the same thing on a similar image, I simply save the presettings. I simply save the settings on this image and I apply it to a next image using this preset that I have now created. So I will go ahead and start editing. This is a photo I took in front of Tour Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower, last spring, and it's pretty dull. This is the raw image, so I will be able to manipulate as I please. So first up, I'm actually going to go into my optics and I'm just going to enable the lens correction on here. So this is usually the first thing I do, whether I'm editing on my phone, on my laptop, on my iMac. I just toggle this setting and it syncs with whatever lens that I'm using. It should do it by default, but if it doesn't, usually if you're on your laptop, for example, you should have a drop-down menu that allows you to simply go in and choose the right lens. So next I will go into the light settings here, and I'm actually going to overexpose this to start off with, just so I can see what I'm working with. The next thing I'm going to do is go down into the highlight section, and I'm actually going to bring the dial all the way down, like all the way down. And the reason I do this is because I love detail in my photos. So if I move more to the right, you can actually see that the image just becomes more blown out and I start to lose a lot of the detail in the cloud. It's not as dramatic anymore. I'm losing a lot of the sky hue, and the tower itself just looks very dull. But when I bring this down, a lot of that comes back, so the sky looks a lot more dramatic, which I love. You can actually see some more detail in the tower, and just like if you look along the horizon here, a lot of the detail has come back as well. But this is still not where I want it to be, so next I'm going to go into the shadows. Now when I look at this image, the one thing I want to stand out is definitely my coat. I was wearing a bright red coat on this day, and you know, I'd seen a lot of pictures of people in front of the tower with red on, and I thought, you know what, why not wear red? But when you're looking at this image, it just looks very dull. It doesn't look red, it actually looks more orange. So we're gonna fix that. So first up, I'm actually gonna increase the shadow dial, sorry, wrong thing, all the way up. Put it at maybe 70. Okay, so right away you see the difference here. This is the before and here's the after. So now that I've brought the lighting up, especially, and increase the shadows on there, I'm gonna go ahead and decrease the blacks a little bit just to bring some more contrast into this image. The red coat still does not look the way I want it to look, so I'm gonna go into the color category and go into the mix style. And here what this is going to allow me to do is target specific colors within the image and manipulate as I please. So like I said, I want this to look very red and very vibrant, very punchy. So I'm actually going to go into the hue and move that over to the left. And you can already see that that's had an effect directly on the coat. I'm going to increase the saturation and decrease the luminance a little bit, make it a bit darker. It's still too orange for me, so I'm actually going to go into the orange dial and move that also over to the left so it's more red. And now we're starting to get some of that color, some of that red, punchy, very vibrant color in there. Same thing, I'm going to increase the saturation and decrease the luminance. So again, let's do a quick before and after, and we can already see what a difference that makes. So now I am going to go back into the light category here, and now I'm going to expose correctly. I overexposed it to begin with. But now I'm going to expose correctly and bring a lot of that detail back into the sky. You can just see that there's a lot going on with the clouds, which I love. This just looks very dramatic, very dreamy. But again, bringing the exposure down has now affected how vibrant that red coat looks. So simple as going into the shadows and increasing this. I'll bring this all the way up to 100. And there you go. Look how that just looks amazing. So I can actually see that there are some yellows in here that I don't really want to stand out, and just to show you what I'm talking about. So if I increase the yellow saturation toggle, it sort of highlights what is being affected if I were to move this dial. I do want to desaturate that a little bit, and then I'm also going to increase the luminance on here. So next up we have the effects panel, and in here you have the ability to increase the clarity or edit the clarity, dehaze, and vignetting. You can also add some green, which I'm not going to do for this specific image, and then if you're more advanced you can also go in here and add some split tones to the highlights and the shadows, but again, I'm not going to do that for this tutorial. So what I am going to do here is actually increase the dehazing a little bit, because the Eiffel Tower is still a bit foggy. You can't really see the details in here. So I'm going to increase the dehaze. I think I'll bring that up to about 13. Perfect. And then I'm also going to increase the clarity just to bring some sharpness in. This also adds some contrast in there. Again, I'm not going to play around with the grain. I'm going to go into the details panel. I will make this a little bit sharper, so I'll bring it up to 50. And then I will increase the noise reduction, and this just gets rid of any further grain or pixelation that is within the image. So let's do a quick before and after. Again, very simple edit here. I didn't do much. I just went in and targeted what I really wanted this red coat to look like, and then brought back a lot of the details in the sky and with the tower as well. But I don't like the way the sky looks in here, so I actually want this to be a bit more teal. So what I'm going to do is go back into the color mix panel here, and I will bring the blue hue dial to the left a little bit. I'm also going to desaturate it, and then I'm going to increase the luminance, and I'll do the same thing in the aquas. Bring it over to the left a little bit, increase the saturation on this one, and then decrease the luminance. So again, if we do a before and after, you can see that you can see the change. I don't even have to say anything here. So right away the blues are a bit more tealish, and then a lot more details in the cloud. You can see a lot more of what's happening in the skyline on the horizon, and of course that red coat is poppin'. So I'm going to leave this as is. I'm not going to go ahead and play with the white balance, but if you wanted to, you can change the temperature on the image. I can make it warmer, I can make it cooler, but I'm going to leave this as is. Not really going to touch anything else. Usually you can come in here and also increase the vibrancy and the saturation, which affects everything in the image. So in this case, you're not targeting one specific thing. And now that I think about it, I'm actually going to increase the saturation. I think I'll put that at 10. And I will warm this up just a little bit. Okay. So now we have the before and after, and I think I am satisfied with that. So now what I do is simply go over to the presets column, and to create a new preset, you simply just click on preset, and then in the top right corner, you have 3 little dots. Click on that, tap on create presets. You want to make sure everything but tools is checked off. I would also suggest leaving the optics checked off, just because you may not have the same lens. You may not use the same lens for every photo shoot, but you can always go in there and just toggle that optics motion every time. I also leave geometry checked off, depending on whether I change the distortion of an image or not. So I think I'm satisfied with this. I'm going to go ahead and call this preset Tower E or something. Hit the check mark button, and it is saved. So again, here's the before and after. And now if I were to go into another image within the same folder, same settings, same lens, same composition, I could simply just go into my presets panel and find that preset that I just created, apply it to my image, and boom bam. Now there are instances where you may have to go in and tweak the exposure or the highlights and shadows a little bit, but apart from that, you should now have a streamlined preset. So if I was on my computer, I would actually copy this preset, highlight all of the images that are similar to this one, and just paste this on here, and that gives me a setting. I will have to go into each image to edit again, like the highlights, the exposure, some clarity, whatever the case may be, but for the most part, here's my preset. And again, if you have a Adobe Lightroom or Creative Cloud membership, you can actually streamline this across all of your devices. So although I've created this preset on my mobile phone, if I were to open up Adobe Lightroom CC on my laptop, this preset would be available on my laptop for me to use on any other image as well. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed watching this, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. Also, you can turn on your post notifications so you're informed every time I have a new upload, because believe me, you don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in my next one.